The time is K o'clock. Welcome to the Ectasis News, read by VNK, your problem solving expert. This channel is dedicated to problem solving and personal development, where you learn tips, tricks, and techniques on how to solve problems in order to increase your chances of success in your life. In breaking news today, did you know that when governments passed a regulation for cigarette companies to display a health warning on a cigarette pack, cigarette companies protested? And according to legislation, the warning was to be a text which says, cigarette smoking can cause cancer. The protests by cigarette companies were not genuine. They were just putting up a show so that the public would believe that those government regulations were hurting their business. Truth is, cigarette companies knew something the majority of people did not know. What they knew was a concept in psychology called absence blindness. What is absence blindness, you may ask? Absence blindness is what prevents your brain from processing what you don't observe in your reality. This is because the brain and its perceptual faculties have a hard time detecting what is not present in the environment. That is why the majority of people are always caught with their pants down, even when it comes to simple things they could have easily prevented or foreseen. How many times have you heard the expression, prevention is better than cure? But because what you are supposed to prevent has not happened yet, your brain has a hard time taking it seriously. For instance, when a person contracts lung cancer due to cigarette smoking, he will take the cancer illness very, very seriously because he is now ill. The cancer will now be in his reality. But that person did not take the cancer issue seriously during the time he was smoking. But this time, he will do everything in his power to get rid of the illness and restore his health. This is because cancer is life-threatening, so he'll be afraid of dying. So the cigarette companies knew that because of absence blindness, just writing a text which says cigarette smoking causes cancer has absolutely no effect on a smoker's behavior, and therefore that wouldn't hurt their business at all. I have a personal story to tell, and listen to this one. There was a time during my corporate career I was hugely frustrated. I had a myriad of problems I wasn't able to solve in my line of work. I had sleepless nights. The bosses hammered me at monthly meetings. I was put on notice quite a couple of times. I changed jobs, thinking that by changing jobs, that would be a panacea for my inability to solve problems in the business. But alas, that didn't work. After a few months at a new job, the hammering from bosses started and continued. There again, I was actually put on notice a couple of times. Imagine how terrifying it was for me to live under the constant threat of losing my only source of income, which was my job. Much as I tried to bury my head in the sand, three glaring facts came across quite strongly that I couldn't ignore. One, the bosses were from different companies and were unlikely to have connived against me. Two, their message was the same. Three, I was the common denominator in all this. With these three facts staring me in the face, I had to introspect. I then came to a realization that instead of always running away, I had to quickly find a method of solving problems in the business. if I were to have any chance of survival in the corporate world. I requested my employer to send me on a problem solving course, of which they did. On my return, I immediately applied the learned skills and techniques in an attempt to solve problems in the business. It all came to naught. The hammering still continued. I bought and read books on problem solving methods. The teachings were cumbersome and too theoretical, such that I couldn't apply them to solve problems in the business. The hammering still continued. Now, one day, I accidentally came across a quote by a US American Nobel laureate, Toni Morrison. And the quote goes like, quote, "If there's a book that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it." Close quote. Because my career and my livelihood were on the line, I wasted no time and quickly got down to work. Instead of spending sleepless nights worrying about problems at work, this time I burnt the midnight oil, mapping out practical steps I could use in solving problems. In my search for an easy and practical method to solve problems in my line of work, I accidentally stumbled on two startling discoveries, or maybe they were revelations. One, I thought and believed that the existence of a problem was the problem, and yet in truth, I was the problem. Two, what stood between me and a solution to problems was me. I also happen to know of the remark which was made by one German physicist who was called Albert Einstein, who once said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." Close quote. That is when I discovered that my discoveries or revelations were in, were in line with what Einstein was saying. With those stunning discoveries, I took a different tangent in my search for a way to solve problems. I started mapping out, step by step, how to solve problems. But this time, I was focusing on the kind of person I was. I now had assumed a totally different mindset altogether. I followed my handwritten notes, and after some months of applying them, voila, the hammering stopped from the bosses. For the very first time in my corporate career, I breathed a deep sigh of relief. I felt liberated and overjoyed. I used my enthusiasm to translate the handwritten notes into a soon to be published book with the title Make Problems Vanish, which focuses on the problem solver, him or herself, and not on the problem. The book provides a systematic way of problem solving with the motto, "Get yourself right and the problem will vanish." So, in your case, you may not think it's urgent for you to enroll on my course to drastically improve your problem solving skills. I understand that because absence blindness will be preventing you from seeing the urgency. But the day you have serious problems, like me, those many years ago, when I was stewing in my own soup because my livelihood was seriously threatened by my inability to solve problems, that is where you will find out that the bus has left the station, but without you. By then, there will be no turning back. Hence the expression, make hay while the sun shines. Problem solving skills are a must for anyone who cares enough about their success. So, should you care about success and would like to acquire the skill of solving problems, send us your email on a WhatsApp number +27 76 807 3832, and we'll send you a short questionnaire to assess whether or not you qualify to enroll for a problem solving training program. Oh, by the way, if you subscribe, you'll be notified every time there is breaking news. Taking problem solving seriously means you take success seriously, and it means you take your life seriously. Because whether you realize or not, you are in the problem solving business. That ends the breaking news for today. Catch you again next time. My name once again is VNK. I'm your problem solving expert. Ciao.